Welcome, my fellow ghosts. Welcome to True Scary Stories, a channel dedicated to documenting true scary stories. Let's take a trip down south into the swamps of Florida. Here we will find a chilling story like none other. The Florida swamps are a place of mystery. Vast stretches of dense mangroves, still waters, and wildlife so abundant it feels like another world. Amid this beauty lies an unnerving silence, where whispers of ghostly legends persist. One of the most chilling stories from the swamps involves Julia Brown, a midwife and healer whose curse is said to haunt the region to this day. Julia Brown lived in a tiny village on the edge of the swamp, near what is now Frenier, Louisiana, not far from Florida's marshy borders. Her small community was surrounded by miles of desolate wetlands, accessible only by boat. Though isolated, the villagers depended on Julia for her knowledge of herbal medicine and midwifery. She helped deliver babies, tended to the sick, and performed rituals believed to ward off misfortune. At first, the villagers respected her for her skills, but over time, that respect turned to fear. Julia's personality grew darker, and she was said to be easily angered by those who didn't show proper gratitude. People whispered that she could curse those who displeased her, and that her powers extended far beyond simple herbal remedies. While there was no proof, strange misfortune seemed to befall anyone who wronged her. A sudden fever, a series of accidents, or crops withering overnight. In her later years, Julia became increasingly reclusive, spending most of her time in her small, dilapidated shack on the edge of the swamp. Villagers would see her sitting on her porch, staring out at the murky waters while singing eerie songs to herself. One particular refrain sent shivers through the community. "One day I'm going to die, and I'm going to take all of you with me." Her words were dismissed at first as the ramblings of an old woman, but they left an uneasiness in the air. Some began to avoid her altogether, fearing her growing bitterness. But when illness or childbirth came, they had no choice but to seek her help. They began leaving small offerings at her doorstep, jewelry, food, and even livestock, hoping to appease her temper. In September 1915, Julia passed away. Her death seemed to mark the end of an era, but the villagers couldn't shake the feeling of dread that lingered. On the day of her funeral, the sky darkened, and the air grew oppressively heavy. Julia's casket was carried through the swampy path to a makeshift graveyard, but the mourners were on edge. As they lowered her into the ground, the winds picked up. The sound of her favorite song, "I'm going to take all of you with me," seemed to echo in their ears, though no one dared admit it. As if summoned by her curse, a powerful hurricane struck the region that very evening. The storm tore through the swamp, leveling the village and drowning nearly every inhabitant. Those who survived claimed the winds howled with Julia's voice, cackling and mocking their terror. The once thriving village was reduced to rubble, swallowed by the swamp. Today, Frenier is a ghost town, its remnants reclaimed by nature. Those who dare to venture into the surrounding swamps report strange occurrences. Locals and tourists alike have shared eerie tales of hearing faint singing carried on the wind, despite being miles away from civilization. Others claim to have seen shadowy figures flitting through the mangroves, or felt an unnatural chill in the humid, swampy air. Fishermen avoid the area near Julia's old home, insisting that their boats become inexplicably stuck in the still waters, as if an unseen force is holding them back. Some have even reported seeing ghostly lights, commonly called swamp will-o'-the-wisps, floating through the trees, drawing them deeper into the wetlands before vanishing. One particularly chilling account comes from a group of campers who set up near the area on a dare. In the dead of night, they were awoken by what they described as a low, mournful singing, which grew louder as the hours passed. Terrified, they fled in their boat, only to discover later that several of their belongings had been left behind, along with strange scratches on the sides of their vessel. Many believe Julia's spirit still lingers in the swamp, her bitterness and wrath forever tied to the land. The Florida swamps are already a place of natural danger, with venomous snakes, alligators, and unpredictable weather. But for those who know the story of Julia Brown, the true threat may lie in what you can't see, the shadow of a curse that endures more than a century later. This haunting tale is a reminder that the swamps, while beautiful, hold secrets both natural and supernatural, and some stories are better left untold or untested. Would you dare to wander there after dark? Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.